Hey heroes, welcome to another incredible episode of History of the Marvel Universe. The topic of this episode was voted on by Patreon supporters. If you would like to contribute, then you can sign up for as little as $1 per month over at patreon.com/MaryMarvelite. The link is in the description below, along with other places you can find me. Like many stories on this channel, this week's tale can really trace its beginnings back to the original Elder Gods of Earth, in this case the Great Serpent Set. Set had a number of offspring, one of which departed the Earth while it was still developing, and became known as the Dragon of the Moon. It could be presumed that this being was named not for the Earth's moon, but Saturn's largest satellite, Titan. The dragon first visited Titan eons ago and has claimed responsibility for the destruction of a civilization that lived there. While unconfirmed, it's possible that this is in reference to the colony originally built by the eternal Uranite and his followers after they were exiled from Earth roughly 600,000 years ago. For a more comprehensive breakdown on the Uranite Heresy which led to those events, please refer to my video on the history of the Eternals, linked in the description. The Eternals themselves are a virtually immortal superhuman race created by the space gods known as the Celestials. While the Uranite civilization on Titan was reportedly destroyed by civil war and pollution, some have speculated that the Dragon of the Moon somehow influenced or manipulated these events. In either case, approximately 200,000 years ago, another Eternal, Mentor, was exiled from the Earth and traveled to Titan. He found the last surviving Uranite, a woman named Sui-san, and the two began rebuilding the Eternal colony there. Between cloning technology and alien settlers, the subterranean civilization was soon repopulated by beings who would be referred to as the Eternals of Titan, although they were technically not true Eternals. Among those who settled on Titan were members of the Prists of Pama, a pacifistic group from the alien race known as the Kree. I also have a comprehensive look at the history of that race in my video about the Kree-Skrull War, so refer to that for the reasons behind the Priests leaving their homeworld of Hala. On Titan, they established the Shaolam Monastery and passed their teachings down through the generations. Meanwhile, the Dragon of the Moon returned to Earth and clashed with another Eternal known simply as the Interloper. In the 6th century, the Interloper joined forces with King Arthur and the Knights of Camelot to banish the dragon back to Titan, where it was imprisoned behind dimensional barriers. There, it eventually took notice of Mentor and Sui-san's insane son, Thanos, and possibly provided him with power and guidance. Of course, with or without the dragon, Thanos was dangerous, and he even killed his own mother when he was only 12 years old. In more recent decades, a girl named Heather Douglas lived in Los Angeles, California, with her parents Arthur and Yvette. Art Douglas moonlighted as a saxophone player, and so one night after a show in Las Vegas, he began driving his family back home. During the trip, Heather looked up to see what she believed to be a shooting star. However, that was actually a spacecraft containing none other than Thanos on his first trip to Earth. Not wanting to be detected, he launched an attack on the lone civilian car, causing it to crash. Yvette died instantly and Arthur followed soon after, but Heather was in the back seat and survived. She stumbled from the wreck, unnoticed by Thanos, but was soon recovered by Mentor and brought back to Titan. Unable to raise her himself, Mentor instructed the Titanian Eternal Emlot to bring her to the Shaolam Monastery, where she lived with the monks of Kaluba. I will note that in the earliest telling of this story, Mentor's wife at the time, Cassandra, stated that Emlot was the one who brought Heather to Titan in the first place, but this is inconsistent with every other depiction of these events. It's possible that Mentor was simply lying to his wife, as he also neglected to tell her the full truth about what happened to Heather's real parents, but neither Cassandra nor Emlot ever appear again regardless. That telling also heavily implies that Thanos was still merely a child at the time, so clearly not all the details had been firmly established in that version of the story. That minutia aside, Heather was trained at the monastery by descendants of the Priests of Pama, the artificial intelligence Sensia, and even Mentor himself. In addition to Titanian sciences, she studied the mental, mystic, and martial arts, honing her body and mind to the peak of human capabilities. She attained complete control over her mind and body, allowing her to develop a suite of telepathic abilities. However, as her consciousness probed outward, it pushed against the Dragon of the Moon's other-dimensional prison. The dragon attempted to use this opportunity to escape by penetrating Heather's mind, but she realized her mistake and pushed back against it. She succeeded in repelling her foe and maintaining the seals, keeping the dragon locked away, but didn't realize that it had left a piece of itself inside of her. This caused her telepathic power to swell as well as her ego, and upon completion of her studies, she chose the name Moondragon. She subsequently met a being known as the Runner, one of the ancient elders of the universe, and spent some time wandering the cosmos with him. However, she returned to Titan after witnessing the Runner's callous disregard for the lives of other beings. Meanwhile, Thanos had assembled an army of space pirates and returned to Titan as well. Having literally fallen in love with death, Thanos embraced his role as the Mad Titan and launched a full-scale attack on his homeworld. The Shaolan Monastery was completely destroyed, and Moondragon was its sole survivor. During this assault, a scientist began working on a doomsday weapon as a last resort, a life-draining monster called Drax, but he was killed before he could unleash it. Taking that technology for herself, Moondragon traveled to Earth to plan her next move, while Thanos seized full control of what was left of Titan. Meanwhile, she wasn't the only one plotting against Thanos, as Mentor and his own father figure, the disembodied Eternal Kronos, conspired to create a warrior who could defeat the Mad Titan. You see, while they were unable to save Heather's mother, Yvette, Mentor and Kronos were able to seize the soul of Arthur Douglas before it passed on to the afterlife. By placing that soul into an artificially created body, they gave rise to a superhuman warrior dubbed Drax the Destroyer. Although in their first encounter, Thanos was victorious and Drax was imprisoned on Earth. Upon learning that the Mad Titan's forces were on her original homeworld, Moondragon started looking for operatives who could combat them. Under the alias Madame McEvil, no, seriously, she manipulated Iron Man and the Submariner into fighting one another so that she could study them. Funnily enough, it was also Iron Man who freed Drax the Destroyer not long afterwards and became one of the first Earthlings to battle Thanos' forces. Seeking honorable allies on Earth, Moondragon met with a lawyer named Kerwin Broderick in San Francisco, due to the sterling reputation of his firm, Broderick, Sloan, and Murdoch. However, he saw an opportunity to gain power for himself and tricked her into believing that the city was under Thanos' control, and that the masked man Daredevil was the Mad Titan's minion. Using Titanian technology, Moondragon and Broderick empowered 3 individuals: Angar the Screamer, the Dark Disciple, and Ramrod, collectively referred to as the Terrible Trio. Things came to a head when Moondragon confronted Daredevil and realized that Broderick had deceived her when she looked into the masked man's mind. It seems as though her arrogance had blinded her to the real threat, as Broderick succeeded not only in releasing Drax, but merging with it. The ensuing battle caught the attention of the Kree hero Captain Mar-Vell, himself an enemy of Thanos and ally to Mentor. In the end, Moondragon and the others succeeded in unmaking Drax, killing Broderick in the process. There was a mutual attraction between Daredevil and Moondragon during this time, but she was unwilling to pursue a relationship with an earthbound human. Following that, the war against Thanos kicked into high gear when his various enemies began to join forces. After spending time meditating in space, Moondragon became a part of this unified effort when she returned and reunited with Mar-Vell. Others involved, of course, included Mentor, Drax the Destroyer, Iron Man, and his allies, the Avengers. While the others attacked Thanos physically, Moondragon engaged in a battle of the minds. However, the Mad Titan had enhanced his already considerable power with an artifact called the Cosmic Cube, attaining something akin to godhood. That battle ultimately ended when Mar-Vell succeeded in destroying the cube, leaving Thanos stranded in space. Meanwhile, Mentor and Moondragon found the surviving Eternals of Titan imprisoned. While the population had been devastated, those who remained began the arduous process of rebuilding. And so Moondragon returned to the Shaolan Monastery for a period of quiet contemplation. However, she later sensed that she was needed on Earth once again and returned to the planet of her birth. She learned that while she was being trained on Titan, another girl, known simply as Mantis, was being raised by the Prists of Pama on Earth. Both women were candidates to become the Celestial Madonna, the mother of the prophesized Celestial Messiah, but in the end, Mantis was chosen. Moondragon was dismayed by this, but was subsequently invited by Iron Man to join the Avengers. She aided against foes like the Stranger and Kang the Conqueror, but her arrogance and sense of self-importance began to grate on her teammates. She ultimately declined full membership, instead opting for reserve status. She also declared that the new hero Hellcat was too untrained and insisted on bringing her back to the monastery on Titan. Moondragon passed on what she knew, but Hellcat's training was cut short just as she began to unlock her own mental potential. Sensing a new threat, Moondragon sent Hellcat back to Earth while she reunited with Mar-Vell and returned with him to the Avengers. They were soon met with another ally, Warlock, who explained that Thanos was still alive and hunting for 6 powerful artifacts known at the time as Soul Gems. The hero successfully destroyed the artificial star gem that Thanos had created to channel the infinite power of the others. However, Warlock perished in the assault, and the others were defeated and held captive. Moondragon used her psychic powers to mentally contact another hero on Earth, Spider-Man. He then recruited the Thing, the rocky-skinned pilot of the Fantastic Four, and the two traveled to Thanos' warship to free the Avengers. The Mad Titan was ultimately defeated, once again transformed into solid granite by the spirit of Warlock. Sometime after that conflict, Moondragon was one of several Avengers to be abducted by the Elder of the Universe known as the Collector. After the captive Avengers were freed by their allies, the Collector attempted to warn the heroes about a new threat to the universe, but was struck down by the mysterious enemy before he could identify him by name. Investigating the source of the blast, the Avengers found a man from the future with godlike power, Korvac. He wished to overthrow the cosmic forces that governed the universe, and while none of the Avengers were a match for him, he was ultimately defeated. The full details of that battle are too complicated to recount here, but I do have an entire video dedicated to the Korvac Saga elsewhere on the channel. But during the conflict, Moondragon reached into Korvac's mind and concluded that his ambitions were not evil, as he simply wished to free humanity from the whims of eternity, the cosmic being that embodied the universe. While the others considered Korvac's defeat a victory, Moondragon mourned his death, finding herself agreeing with his cause. She had already proven that she was willing to use questionable methods for a ostensibly just purpose, like when she used her powers to suppress Quicksilver's prejudice towards artificial lifeforms. She later reunited with Hellcat, who had joined the informal superhero team, the Defenders. During this time, they encountered a mechanical alien race, the Protar, who sought to destroy a pair of artificial humanoids they themselves had created. The Defenders also clashed with the insane genius Ruby Thursday, who was attempting to steal the body of one of the Protar creations, Omega the Unknown. The other artificial being, 12-year-old James Michael Starling, was unaware of his alien heritage, but unlocked his latent energy powers to defend himself. During this conflict, Moondragon retrieved the mental energy she'd endowed Hellcat with during her training, stripping her of her burgeoning mental powers and strengthening herself. She then used this power to prevent Starling from killing the last Protar by revealing his true origins to him. We don't really have time to go into the full details this week, so maybe we'll come back to that topic another time. In any event, Starling refused to believe what he was shown and prepared to turn his power against the Defenders. However, when he realized his best friend Diane Wilkins would be caught in the blast, he turned the energy inward and destroyed himself. Blaming both herself and the Defenders for this outcome, Moondragon began to lose faith in humanity. She brought the bodies of both Omega and Starling into space and laid them to rest among the stars. After that, she encountered a woman known simply as Her, who tried and failed to resurrect Adam Warlock. She briefly clashed with the Thing during this story, which I only bring up as an excuse to show this absolutely wild panel of her getting spanked. Considering herself a goddess, she did not take that well and struck him with a psionic blast. She subsequently returned to the Avengers in an attempt to affect their roster by mentally compelling other heroes to apply. However, the Avengers resisted and opposed her manipulations, driving her away. Straddling the line between hero and villain, she returned to space, no longer feeling kinship with the world of her birth. Furthermore, with Thanos defeated and the role of Celestial Madonna having been given to someone else, she felt like her life was lacking purpose, and had no desire to return to Titan either. She meditated on her past, and while she regarded Mentor as a surrogate father, she realized that in the midst of the war against Thanos, she had never been able to truly reconnect with her real father since he had been reborn as Drax the Destroyer. She tracked him down only to find him afflicted with some sort of alien parasite that prevented her powers from reaching him. You see, Drax also felt devoid of purpose and attacked the alien's hive, hoping it would destroy him. And so Moondragon brought her father back to Earth, where the mighty Thor helped remove the leech from his head. Drax still desired destruction, but Moondragon mentally soothed him. The alien, meanwhile, separated from its hive, also wished to die, and so Moondragon convinced her father to join her in returning it from whence it came. The two traveled together and grew closer, taking time to visit their ally Mar-Vell on his deathbed. And during their journeys, they came upon the planet Babani in the midst of a terrible civil war. Moondragon decided to intervene in the conflict, mentally forcing both sides to cease their aggressions. However, she then installed herself as the planet's ruler, declaring herself the goddess of peace. Drax realized that she was going too far and sent their ship to retrieve the Avengers. But before he could fully explain the situation, Moondragon dominated his mind, forcing him to be subservient. When the Avengers arrived, Moondragon staged a phony rebellion to make it seem like that was the purpose of their journey. She also mentally manipulated Thor, believing that only a god like him was worthy of being her consort. However, the effort of controlling such a being took almost all of her focus, allowing Iron Man, who suspected something was amiss, to free Drax the Destroyer. He and the others confronted Moondragon, who attempted to reassert her control over her father. Drax vehemently resisted her power, but the mental strain of doing so proved to be fatal. With her abilities momentarily strained, Moondragon was surprised and knocked out by the size-changing Avenger, the Wasp. There was of course the question of what to do with her, as her crimes fell outside the jurisdiction of any Earth agency the Avengers were in contact with at the time. And so Thor decided that if she fancied herself a goddess, then she would be tried as one, and brought her back to his home realm of Asgard. Declaring that she required a lesson in humility, Thor's father Odin placed an irremovable band on Moondragon's head that limited her power. He then entrusted the Asgardian Valkyrie with watching over her and sent them both back to Earth. Ironically, that put her back into the company of the Defenders, who were in the midst of reorganizing into a more formal team. By this point, Hellcat had left the group to marry Daimon Hellstrom, the son of Satan. When the wedding was attacked by Hellcat's ex-husband, Buzz Baxter, Moondragon intervened and helped save her former student. In the wake of that incident, she decided to join the new Defenders alongside Valkyrie while she attempted to reconnect with humanity. She was often standoffish with her teammates, but did feel an affinity for the gender-fluid sentient Nebula known simply as Cloud. She aided in a number of battles, but her headband would cause her great pain if her powers overstepped their bounds. While this prevented her from outright controlling her teammates, she subtly nudged several of them towards being attracted to her in an attempt to use them. But then the team was attacked by a mutant assassin known as Manslaughter. Funnily enough, he had been tutored in the use of his powers by the Interloper, the same Eternal who opposed the Dragon of the Moon centuries prior. When Moondragon attempted to shut Manslaughter down, it temporarily linked their nervous systems, allowing him to torture her by cutting his own skin. While Manslaughter was ultimately defeated by the Defenders, the psychic sensation of her throat being cut lingered like an open wound. This awakened something in her mind, a piece of the ancient Dragon of the Moon that had been lying dormant for years. The dragon began plotting, manipulating villains into attacking the Defenders, and even generating an illusory mantis to strike at Moondragon. With the support of her teammates, Moondragon was able to wake up and retain control of her body, displaying more humility in the aftermath of this. She admitted that she had been drawing threats towards their headquarters as part of her attempts to remove her dampening headband. Not long after that, the team was captured by a group of Asgardian trolls who attempted to do just that. However, Moondragon resisted the temptation to help them and instead freed the Defenders so the trolls could be defeated. In the aftermath of that battle, Moondragon was deemed worthy and the headband simply fell away. After recovering, she adopted a more modest costume and continued fighting alongside the Defenders. Among the threats they faced were the mutated plant-like organism known as Gamma Spores. The spores were defeated and destroyed, but Moondragon was infected in the process. With the headband gone, the Dragon of the Moon saw an opportunity in this and renewed its assault on her mind. The spores spread through her body like a cancer, slowly replacing her organs, while the dragon convinced her that her friends didn't truly care about her. Desperate to live, Heather Douglas opened the door to the dragon's interdimensional prison, allowing it to heal her and fully possess her. In an attempt to stop the dragon, Valkyrie summoned her sisters, who mounted an assault on her former teammate. During that battle, Cloud attacked the dragon with lightning, weakening it and forcing it to flee. By the time it returned, the Interloper had joined up with the Defenders to help battle his old enemy. He also convinced the Defenders that they would need his psychotic former student, Manslaughter, to defeat the possessed Moondragon. The Dragon of the Moon, however, continued to manipulate her and sensed the presence of another powerful cosmic entity on Earth. This being, who we've explained in depth on the channel before, was known as the Beyonder, and while he was virtually omnipotent, he was often naive. By insisting that her intentions were good, likely even believing it herself, Moondragon convinced him to grant her a portion of his power. Stronger than ever, Moondragon and the Dragon of the Moon renewed their assault on the Defenders. They extracted the soul of the Defender known as the Gargoyle, transforming him into a monstrous servant. They even tortured their other former teammates by threatening to kill several of their friends and loved ones. This included a dying Gamma Spore victim and the hospitalized teenage couple who Cloud based their human appearances on. To stop the dragon, the Interloper and Valkyrie channeled their immortal energies through Manslaughter and another defender, Andromeda. In that final assault, Heather's consciousness awakened within the dragon, and she realized that the Beyonder may have intended for this to happen. In a final attempt to do good, she reached out with the power the Beyonder had given her and used it to heal and revive the innocent civilians she threatened. In the aftermath of that final attack, those caught in the blast, including the Interloper, Valkyrie, Manslaughter, Andromeda, Gargoyle, and Moondragon, were all seemingly killed, their physical bodies reduced to ash. However, the souls of the four who sacrificed themselves fell into a spiritual realm along with the dragon, where the heroes continued battling against its forces. As a reward for their hard-fought battles, the mystical trio known as the Vishanti facilitated their resurrection, reincarnating them in host bodies to restore their physical forms. As for how Moondragon later returned, well, perhaps we'll cover that story in a later video. But that is all I've got for you this week, so thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it on your favorite social media. And if you do want to see a continuation of this video, then be sure to let me know in the comments. As always, the issues referenced in this video are listed in the description below if you would like to read them for yourself, as well as links to other places you can find me, including my Patreon page where, for only $1 a month, you can get your name in these special thanks here. And you can vote in monthly polls that help decide what topics get covered on the channel. But that is all I've got for you this week, so until next time, true believers, Excelsior!